IPI Sports presents the 1988 Bud Light Key West Offshore World Cup. The world has once again returned to the waters of the United States Caribbean islands to compete for the prestigious Offshore World Cup title. An international offshore racing fleet of over 100 boats will battle amongst themselves and against the elements to draw the 1988 offshore racing season to a close and take home the coveted Offshore World Cup. The 1988 Bud Light Key West Offshore World Cup is sponsored by Bud Light. Anything else is just a light. By Mercury Performance Products, the race never stops. Hello, everybody. I'm Jim Hendrick, along with Mark Spencer, standing on top of the pier house here in Key West, Florida, for the Bud Light Key West World Cup. Over 100 entries have entered in 6 classes. They've had races the last couple of days to get to this point. The elimination heats, if you will. And this is a big challenge today, Mark Spencer.
Everything is on the line. The points race in all 4 classes is still up for grabs. Today's race is longer. It's also worth more points than the first 2 races. The super and the open boats, they're going to go 150 long miles.
We'll have a spy in the sky by the name of Rich Lures in Chopper 1. Now let's switch to Dick Crippen to find out just what's happened the last couple of days to get to this, the finals.
It's been a good couple of days, Jim. The 3-race series, of course, beginning here in Key West on Tuesday. Defending Superboat world champion Tom Gentry and his number 9 Gentry Turbo took first place in the Superboat class. Good day for Tom. Don Johnson, yeah, he will look familiar in the Gentry V-bottom, coming in 2nd place in the Superboat class, making it 1-2 for the Gentry team in the first race. In the open class, Italian Fabio Buzzi stuns the rest of the fleet by finishing miles ahead of them in his diesel-powered winged V-bottom. U.S. Modified National Champion Joe Mock in his M1 Dirty Laundry finishes first in the modified class. In Pro Stock, the team of Tony Caligari and John Shields take the checkered flag in the P75 Ocean Outboard Skater. After a day off, racing resumes on Thursday. In Superboat, Don Johnson let it be known that he's for real by piloting his Gentry-powered entry to victory in race 2. Al Copeland Jr. in the Team Popeyes V-bottom coming in a strong 2nd. Fabio Buzzi flexed his diesel-powered muscles again on Thursday, but was set back by a penalty. Now that placed victory in the hands of former U.S. national champion Bob Kaiser. No surprises in modified class as Joe Mock chalks up his 2nd World Cup Series victory. And in the Pro Stock class, it was Tony Caligari's Ocean Outboard Skater taking the win, making it 2 first-place finishes for the P75. It's been an action-packed week of offshore racing here in Key West.
All right, Dick, thank you very much. Mark, that brings us to today. Now we've got a little virtual tie in one class and very close in another.
In the Superboat class right now, the Gentry team is sitting 1-2. Don Johnson in the number 99. He's in the V-bottom. He's leading the points chase, but Tom Gentry, who is qualified for this race as virtue of winning the World Championship last year, he's sitting in 2nd. If he wins today, it could be his World Cup. In 3rd is a sleeper, Phil Mashinsky. He's been putting pressure on all season long. In the 4th spot is Al Copeland in the Popeyes. But, Jim, they've made a change in that boat. Al Copeland Jr. is going to run the cat today because he's the only one in the Copeland camp within striking distance of the points lead. He could still win it, so they've made a change. Al Sr. will go in the V-bottom. Al Jr. will go in the faster cat.
And Kurt Russell, you see him on many times on TV. He's another celebrity that'll be driving with Al Copeland today in the Popeyes chicken. Of course, we've already mentioned Don Johnson. What about the open class? Very tight. In fact, a virtual tie.
In the open class, Fabio Buzzi, let's face it, he's had things his way from Italy. However, it's still a close race. He had a 3-minute penalty in the 2nd heat. He missed the driver's meeting, was a little bit late. They assessed him with a penalty. That opened it up for Bobby Kaiser in the systems boat. There's a dead heat between those two, but you also can't cut out the new American national champion, John D'Elia. He's in 3rd place. Whoever wins the race, Gonzia, systems, or special edition, they'll be the new World Cup champion.
All right, Mark, thank you very much. Now, the course, well, it could be rough in parts. The wind is picking up. They race anywhere from 129 miles up to 150 miles. For the course description, description, here's Dick Crippen. Dick?
Well, Jim, competitors in today's World Cup race will face variable water conditions in the Atlantic Ocean and the Gulf of Mexico. From the start-finish line off of famous Maori Square in Key West, the fleet will head southwest into the waters of the Atlantic Ocean and Checkpoint 1. Boats then head east through the traditionally unpredictable waters between checkpoints 1 and 2. At checkpoint 2, the fleet turns north to checkpoint 3, and they follow the coastline of Key West to checkpoint 4. The fleet then heads southwest once again to checkpoint 1. This time, the boats turn northeast to checkpoint 3, run back along the coast to checkpoint 4, and into the Gulf of Mexico and the protected waters of Key West Harbor and checkpoint 5. The fleet must navigate a specific combination of laps to finish today's race. 149 miles for Superboat open and modified classes, 129 miles for Pro Stock. And we'll be back with the 1988 Bud Light Key West Offshore World Cup in just a moment. Welcome back to Key West, Florida. A perfect day for an offshore race. The temperature in at 85 degrees, clear skies, northeast winds 2 to 3 knots, 3 to 5 foot seas. Jim, I got to tell you, it's great.
Hi, Dick. Thank you very much. Mark Spencer is making his way down to the wet pit area. Now, before he takes off in Chopper 1, let's go to Rich Lures. Rich?
The conditions today are moderate. Again, this week. Really, nobody is favored. It's going to be a cross between V-bottom and catwater, depending upon what part of the course. I think you'll see in certain locations, certain boats will have the advantage over others. As the race wears on, though, I think the guys who've done their homework and have the dependability mechanically are going to come to the lead here today.
Thank you, Rich. Al Copeland Jr. is going to run the #1 cat in the Popeyes Diet Coke team. Let's find out from his dad, what is this all about?
He's got a shot at the World Championship, and I want to give him every possible chance he can have. To me, it's a big sacrifice because I love the boat and I love what I do, but I wouldn't do it for anybody else in the world but him. Running up against Tom Gentry is no easy deal, and I think it's going to be tough, but I think he can handle it.
Well, Tom Gentry isn't the only Gentry-powered entry that Al Jr. must face. Don Johnson will be in the V-bottom. We asked Don about his season coming up to and through this race.
We got a first place and a second place win, and we've been third and second all season. We've been toying with it all season long, and unfortunately it's been a short season for me, but we'll see what happens out there today. We're just going to go out and run our race and run hard and try not to make any mistakes, and I'll just let the points and the standings talk for themselves.
Well, the newly crowned U.S. Open class national champion John D'Elia has made some changes in his boat for the World Cup since the last time we saw him.
We have a lot more experience than we had 2 months ago and 3 months ago, but a lot more gasoline in the boat for better ballast. The boat's better balanced than it was 3 or 4 months ago. And most importantly, I filled up on spaghetti and pasta last night, so I'm going to challenge that Italian and bring home the flag to the USA.
Okay, John. Let's go now to the milling area. Mark Spencer is out aboard the pace boat. Mark?
Tension is mounting as we get ready for this, the start of the third and final race in this World Cup event. Right now, weather conditions are ideal here in the harbor. Winds are blowing at less than 2 knots and the seas are flat. However, once they get outside, that first turn is always treacherous, and this is a long race. Weather conditions probably will change, and we're going to have some rough water to contend with before today's over. Back to you, Dick.
Okay, Mark, and you hold on. You're about to take the ride of your life out there. Jim, let's talk about the starting lineup for this field of boats.
In the Superboat class, there are 7 entries. Popeyes Diet Coke, Gentry Turbo Eagle, and of course, Popeyes Diet Coke #2, the Deep V Hall. Also, C&G Awesome, the VTM Express, and the Gentry Eagle, #99 Deep V, driven by Don Johnson. So we have 7 entries on the top boats that'll negotiate 149 miles today.
There you can see the orange smoke coming out right now, and that is signaling the drivers to get ready. The pace boat is about to take off. They'll kind of form up behind it. Here's the open class entry list. US 1 Special Edition, John D'Elia. Here's our Italian entry, Ganzia de Ganzia. Bengal Bay Club, Systems, Bobby Kaiser out of Detroit, Michigan area. Also the Spirit of America, a boat that's been racing all season long. Barnes Infinity, #17. The Priority 1. Chairman of the board, #55. There's the Silver Bullet of Craig Berry. Achille Motors in the 103. Barago in 113. And the 201 is Baguda.
So there's a total of 12 entries in open class as the big ones, the superboats, are about to start. Let's go down to the pace boat and Mark Spencer.
The 1988 Bud Light Key West World Championship is about to get underway. The drivers in the super and the open class are lining up behind our transom. The yellow flag is up. They're reining in the horsepower. When the flag goes down and it goes to green, they'll unleash it for this, the most important race of the season. Dick, back to you.
And I think none too soon either. Mark, one of the most exciting moments of his life, I can tell you that. There you can see Al Copeland Sr., who is now the boat nearest to you. Watch in the center of that pack. There's the Gentry Turbo Eagle coming up on the inside. It looks like it's going to be a neck-and-neck start at the beginning of this long superboat race, Jim.
And Tom Gentry from Honolulu, Hawaii, showing him the short way so far as they start this 149-mile grueling event. Here's Al Copeland Sr. in the deep V, pulling abreast on the left of the Tom Gentry Eagle entry.
As a matter of fact, the Popeyes team is right up in there. There's Junior on the outside. It's Al Copeland Jr. trailing the lead boat right now, just off about 6 boat lengths on him. Tom Gentry trying to open it up at this point in the race. He'll try to be a rabbit on the pack at this point, then slow it down midway through and try to set a real good, solid pace. And he has certainly done that strategy before successfully. Here you see the start of the open class. Interesting, 2 Italian boats starting out in the early lead. Baguda, the Lamborghini-powered boat, that's number 201. And also up there is the UIM one, Ganzia de Ganzia, right in the middle of them, special edition, John D'Elia in the US one. Jim, this is the first time that D'Elia has managed to start with the Italian boats.
Well, the rest of the fleet is really following. We have a total of 12 in this open class, Dick, and they have also, like the superboats, 149 miles to negotiate here at Key West.
This has always been an extremely competitive class, and look at this. John D'Elia has actually taken about a half a nose lead over one of the Italian boats, so now you've got the 2 Italian entries, and John D'Elia splitting them right down the center. D'Elia at this moment is leading.
The modifieds are getting set to go. Your 1988 National High Point champion, Dirty Laundry, Joe Mock and Hurley Step teaming up. They'll take on the Chariots of Fire, the M7 Cat in the modified division here today, along with American Dream and Special Edition. So we have a Special Edition in open class and in modifieds, Dick.
In the pro stocks, it's Concrete Cat, Scaredy Cat, Wheels of Fortune, Nicky Kudrow back in the E&B Marine, the P70 boat. Ocean Outboard, watch that one. He's had a great week. Miss Don Q, Team Hydra, and First Defense. Here come the boats down for the start.
This is the combined classes of modified and pro stock. Modifieds will run 149 miles. The pro stock 129 miles. The pace boat, Dick, is holding him back now, trying to get everybody evened up before he waves that green flag and they're off.
And boy, that is quite a way to start these classes because they're very even. These boats match out almost perfectly. There you can see how they're starting to move it up. The pace boats moved out now, and we've got ourselves a race. There they go. Good start, and it was a clean start all the way as they try again to set a very fast pace off the start, make everybody come forward with the power, then back off, set a good pace for the rest of the race. So it's competition in these classes right off of the start line.
As they go by the spectator fleet, we have a problem with M7 Cat. Uh-oh, this is just across the start line, and looks like Cat may be through for the day.
Oh, that's got to be extremely disappointing to this crew that has worked so hard. Let's go back out to the superboats. They're out on the course now. Gentry Turbo Eagle is leading. Tom Gentry and John Connor, the throttleman, both experts, both champions. And look at how that boat operates. There you see Al Copeland Jr. driving the #1 Cat for the Popeyes Diet Coke team. He's got himself in second place right now, just off of the back end of the leader. We'll be back with more offshore action from Key West in a moment.
Fresh to you from the Popeyes crew.
Welcome to Popeyes.
Welcome back to Key West, Florida. Here's a man who exemplifies courage for all offshore racers. Rick Beluca of the S29 Power Securities, looking for more than just checkered flags.
We have a big point to prove is to the fact that if you are disabled or you're handicapped, that you shouldn't let anything stop you. You should keep on going for your goals, no matter what your goals are, no matter how small or how big. Keep trying for them, and don't go on the negative of whatever anybody says.
Now, a lot of people have helped make this possible, haven't they?
Yes, they have. Power Securities out of Las Vegas, they have really come through for us and really supported us a great deal to come to the World Offshores, and we can't thank Power Securities enough for what they've done for us.
Well, we can't thank Rick enough for the tremendous courage he shows so many of us. There you see him with his crew out on the course now.
Leading all classes, and especially the Superboat class from Honolulu, Hawaii, it's Tom Gentry. Let's go up to Chopper 1 and Rich Lures. Rich?
Tom Gentry in the Gentry Eagle. That big cat has the speed today. After some mechanical gremlins on Thursday, he's not fooling around. Tom Gentry's John Connor, setting a torrid pace in what are about 3 to 5 foot seas. This marvelous cougar cat is the defending world champion in the Superboat class, and it's showing why today. These are not, this is not calm water in spite of the way the boat looks. The seas are quite turbulent. They're running in a rear quartering sea, and the boat is performing beautifully.
And that's a good point that he brings up there, too. Rich Lure's talking about the roughness of the seas out there, not as smooth as it looks. Here's the Popeyes Diet Coke #1, Al Copeland Jr., with a special guest, actor Kurt Russell in the cockpit. Kurt is new to offshore racing, but not competitive sports.
When I was young, I was, you know, like from the age of 8 to 13, I used to race quarter midgets. And other than that, it's just been, I guess, you know, participating in baseball and skiing and stuff like that.
But it seems to attract celebrities like yourself. Here's Don Johnson out running with you today. You have Chuck Norris. He's done things in offshore boats, and here you are getting your first chance.
Yeah, it's just an opportunity to get in something and go fast. You can't pass that up.
Well, that's honest. If you're going to get an honest answer, ask Kurt Russell, who's enjoying a ride in that boat right there, the Popeyes #1. Here's the Gentry Eagle of Don Johnson, Bill Saroy, the throttleman on that boat. They are having a fine run out there as they approach checkpoint #1. Let's go to Rich Lures.
The seas are very treacherous out here. This is not good water for any of these boats. You see this big Gentry V-bottom having its difficulties. But here comes PPM Express right up the middle as well. Phil Wyszynski has a taste of the lead himself. And he blasts right by the Gentry V-bottom and the Popeyes in one fell swoop. The Apache showing its stuff. It's quite a dogfighted Superboat here in the first lap.
They really are putting a show on out there. There's PTM Express, and he's got himself a good ride.
And he may have this boat out of competition next year. He may sell it. He's looking to go to a cat, he told me earlier. Here's your leader at open. And you notice it didn't take John DeLeo long to put US 1 on that boat.
He's battling the Italians out there today, and he took it off the start line. He has so far held on to his #1 spot, so he's deserving of the number. Here are the two Italian boats fighting it out. The boat nearest you is Baguda 201, the rainbow boat, and there on the outside you see Fabio Buzzi with that winged type boat called Ganzia de Ganzia. And that is a weird looking boat, but he has good stability in the water. They are really battling it out. Two of the Italian entries.
Ganzia de Ganzia has 4 600 horsepower 6-cylinder turbo diesel engines. That's 1,000 more cubic inches than the rest of the fleet. But under UIM laws, they said he's legal to run. Actually, he's a superboat in open boat class at this point.
Boy, he has got more than enough power, that's for sure. You saw them coming around the buoy for checkpoint #1, and now we have two Lamborghini-powered boats battling it out. First of all, you see the 201 leading right now on the top side of your screen. That was the 201 Baguda, and on the inside of it, it was Achille Motors. Here's Spirit of America, John Antonelli, who's holding his own out there, but again, that water is roughing up these boats.
And you can see it is because their systems with Bob Carter and his throttleman Errol Lanier getting a rough ride. They have to win it today if they have any chance of taking. Whoa, look at him. He come up, that boat comes bouncing off those outdrives, has to hold on, and really, they have to negotiate a real tough course here.
Jim, here's Chariots of Fire, the M5. This is interesting. This is not the original Chariots of Fire. John Paul Emmons got with Joey Impresio, and Joey said, look, your boat was destroyed in Atlantic City. You come with me, and let's rename my boat Chariots of Fire, and that's what they did. Pete Hidalgo aboard the American Dream. He's been chasing the modified national champ all week and knows what it'll take to win the World Cup title.
Basically, if he finishes 5th and I finish 1st, I become world champion. That's slim and none, but hey, we'll hang on to slim.
Right now, he's got to hang on to the American Dream because that boat is flying high out of the water, as you saw moments ago. Whoa, what's happened here? Joe Mock in the Dirty Laundry has slowed down. He's off of plane. Now, all he has to do is go longer than any other boats in his class or just finish the race, and he'll have the championship.
Here's the Pro Stock Miss Don Q, Ocean Outboard Skater battling along the short line. Tony Caliguri knows what it takes to win in this evenly matched class.
All it is really reliability. All the boats are very evenly matched, and we're running in the high 90s, close to 100 miles an hour in race conditions, and it's just which boat's going to finish and who's going to push the hardest.
Sort of the IROC series of offshore racing, if you will. Boy, look how evenly those boats are matched. Miss Don Q and the Ocean Skater. We have more action coming up from Key West, Florida. When we continue, we're going to give you a special inside look at one of the finest test facilities in the world. That's coming up next. It's not on any map, but in the wilds of Central Florida, there is Lake X, Mercury Marine's top secret high-performance testing facility. It's here that the latest innovations in powerboating are tested and refined. Competition racing boats also come to Lake X for rigging before setting off on the race circuit. Lake X is on the leading edge of high-performance marine technology. We asked Mercury Marine's Bill Casca what new technology was being developed at this facility.
That's why it's called Lake X, and that's why it's secret. We can't talk about it, but we do have a high-speed test track there in Lake X, which is south of Orlando, and everything we do related to the racing world ends up there one way or another.
All kinds of racing boats come to Lake X for testing. Inboard hydroplanes, the exciting outboard tunnel hull race boats, and of course, boats from all classes of the offshore racing fleet.
We're back now to Superboat action, and Tom Gentry's being challenged as they approach checkpoint number 3, coming back in. On the top of your screen, the yellow boat is the Popeyes. We've got a battle. And Al Copeland Jr. knows he has big shoes to fill.
I've driven the boat the first time out the box. Her father had the national championship to clinch, and he used the old Warhorse, and I took the new boat out for its test run.
Did your dad give you any words of advice, things you might look out for?
Be safe, be careful, and be cautious.
Sounds like you'll wreck it, Dick. Don't worry. Be happy. Look at this battle in the Superboat class. On the top of your screen, Al Copeland Jr., Popeye's Diet Coke. Tom Gentry from Honolulu at the bottom of your screen takes a slight lead.
And I think it's amazing to watch those boats, too, as big as they are. We saw some of the big boats earlier just bouncing wildly out of the water, but you can see now as they change direction a little bit, think they're smoothing out just a little. There's Don Johnson in the number 99. And, of course, Al Copeland Sr. in the yellow boat right behind him. They've got a little battle going on there also. Here's Ganzia de Ganzia out of Italy, and this is a boat that has virtually won all of the races on the European circuit. Let's go to Rich Lords.
And what's happening at this race in Key West is the American offshore racing fraternity is being kicked in the head by a mule, and the mule is called Diesels, and the Diesels are in the village of this boat, this Fabio Buzzi Gancia de Gancia. This is the shape of things to come. Not necessarily a V-bottom with a wing on it, which is nice and gimmicky and all that, but diesel power. Turbocharged diesel power is coming of age as I speak. We're about 5 miles ahead of the rest of the open fleet after 3 laps of racing, and that's because this boat weighs 19,000 pounds and doesn't care what the water does. Interesting thing about this, he doesn't have to throttle. In fact, he can't. You can't really back a diesel down and throttle it through rough water. It dies on you. The boat also is probably faster with a full load of fuel than it is empty, as you build greater boost with greater weight and therefore get greater horsepower out of a diesel engine. It's the opposite of just about everything we've been taught and worked on in offshore racing for 20 or 30 years. But it works, and it works well.
And the wheelman is Stefano Casaraghi. He's married to Princess Caroline of Monaco, royalty on hand here today. Currently in second place in open class as chairman of the board, Neri Sabunco has learned a lot about his new boat during this World Cup Series this week in Key West.
The first race was we broke down, so we put that behind us. That was the first failure. The second race, I learned how to race. The third race, the boat is ready, I'm ready, Tom is ready, we are going all the way.
Obviously, they are ready, and they were prepared for this race because that boat is operating just about flawlessly as we look at it on the course. There's the 103, the Lamborghini-powered Achille motors, and the US-1 Special Edition. Now, John D'Elia has led in his class since the start line, and he's really been holding off the Italian entries, but now as we drop back a little bit, you can see the distance, and they are not letting him have any running room. This boat, as big as it is, Jim, has been having a rough go of it today.
And this may be the last race for this boat. They're planning a new one next year for the Bob Kaiser Aero Linear team.
Another boat that's been out bouncing around a little bit is the Silver Bullet, the number 77. There you see Jack Clark, who's throttling that boat. Craig Barry, of course, is the driver. Look at that. They've got to be real careful about stuffing that cat down in there.
Here's Mr. Kobayashi, a veteran from Japan, driving in the Bengal Bay Club, getting a good ride. Gus Falcon, and we've seen him in the past few years, an experienced throttle man helping out here on the waters of Key West. Oh, we have a problem in the danger zone.
Bermuda's racing team, Wesley Wilson and Derek Simons, has capsized. They've turned over in the course. The word is that the crew members are okay. Here's another one, Priority 1. Greg Buchanan and his crew are abandoning ship as we look at it. Jim, this is all happening between checkpoint 1 and 2. That's a danger zone because that's where the reef is that separates the Gulf from the Atlantic. So you get a lot of turbulent water, and obviously it's taking its toll. Now, along with the turbulent water, you also get a shoreline run to make it a spectator's race. Fabio Buzzi does not like the idea of these boats being that close in.
I don't think this is the way to go. Offshore is offshore, not inshore. So there should be more long-distance race, and the engine has to be more reliable. If you short the race, you help the unreliability of the product.
Ganzia de Ganzia, and that driver, Fabio Buzzi, giving his rendition of what the course should be like. Bob Kaiser, on the other hand, feels today's offshore course benefits the sport.
This sport would not be where it is today, or this event wouldn't be what it is today in the United States if we were running to San Key and back and nothing could never come in the harbor or giving the spectators anything to see. So I disagree with him completely.
And I think a lot of the Americans will stand with him on that. They like the idea of the fans being able to see the boats, and they like seeing the fans. And one guy that'll agree with him, I'm sure, is Al Copeland Sr.
It would be disastrous for this sport to even think about going that way, because the momentum has been built over the years, and momentum is continuing to build, and it's going to be fantastic if we just keep it up. But for anybody to think about us going back offshore is crazy.
And I think we have typical American and European views on it. My own view is the fact that they should keep with the American idea. That is, keep it where the spectators can see it. Jim?
I agree with you. Tom McCurry is the 1988 Pro Stock National Champion. He's throttling this boat here, chairman of the board, moving up in class because of a planned merger of modified and Pro Stock classes.
In the beginning, there was inboards and outboards in Pro Stock, and it's a very difficult marriage to make for the simple reason that in different water conditions, the inboard's going to have an advantage, and in another condition, the outboard's going to have an advantage. But there's no way you can run an outboard boat against an inboard boat in rough water. From the realistic standpoint of view and the safety standpoint of view, it can't be done.
Well, I'm sure we're going to hear more of that type of an opinion during the off-season for the offshores. For instance, even though he's going slow now, Joe Mock agrees that modified boats do have an edge in big water.
We definitely have an advantage in rough water. The weight of the boat's in the middle of the boat, so the boat's balanced better. The outboard's got the weight on a transom, and the boat will not ride as well in a rough.
So a little bit of food for thought for the off-season for the offshore power boats as they discuss possible combination of the classes.
The Gentry Turbo Eagle, the cat, still leading Popeyes as we look at superboat action here on Key West waters.
And we will be back to continue with that action from Key West, Florida, in just a moment. Florida, Jim Hendrick is caught up with a world champion, the owner of the Miss Budweiser.
Bernie, it did not start out very well in Miami for you.
Well, it surely didn't, Jim. We won our first heat. Second heat we won. Coming out for the final, Jim Kropfeld spun the boat, and the Pringle boat ran over the top of us and put us out for the Detroit race.
But the canopy saved him.
Oh, the canopy saved his life. Thank the Lord for that.
Then you picked up Tom Deeth from Fairhaven, Michigan, substitute driver for the rest of the year. And, of course, of the Gold Cup, things didn't get much better.
No, they really didn't. He went out, won the first heat, won the second heat, and in the final heat, he rolled it. And so that took about 300 hours in a week of hard work and got it ready for the next race with Madison. We won the Madison, but they called an infraction on us, penalized us an extra lap, went on to Syracuse, New York, and we won Syracuse, went on to Tri-City and Seattle and won those, and won Las Vegas and come out the world champion.
And certainly a good season for the Miss Budweiser. Terrific unlimited hydroplane season all year long. And there's the Miss Don Q now, the P-88. There you can see where that boat is on the course now. This is the second lap for this boat, so they are back out onto the main stretch, if you will, heading to the open waters of the Atlantic Ocean. Don't forget about that reef, too, that comes up between checkpoints 1 and 2.
Here's the Concrete Cat, Dick, and he's currently in second place Ray Tresh. In fact, the Tuesday and Thursday elimination heats, he was finishing second place. He's currently, at least he's consistent. He could win this if he can just maintain the points.
That's right, and here's the boat that was finishing first, and look at this. He's got problems with the port engine. This is the Ocean Skater. Caligari has got to be sensing at this point he's got serious problems. He is holding on to third. He's got to finish the race third or better to take the championship. And what do we got here?
A modified is in trouble right now. The Attrition Chariots of Fire, who is leading, Joey Prescia and that gang, they are now, well, you can see they have their helmets off.
And here's the boat that's going to come up and try to catch him and see if he can pass him when take advantage of that situation. The American Dream, Pete Hidalgo, who we heard from earlier, he's got a good ride. And also, here's Digger's office, Digger Durgans, who's aboard Special Edition. He's throttling that boat. Bill Barnhart is actually driving the boat. This is a great shot because you get to see Digger's right hand. And really, it's the throttle man that makes the difference in these boats as they fly out of the water. Here's the leader in the open class, Fazio Buzzi. Now, earlier we asked him, how fast is this boat?
My boat is a real 106 and 107 miles per hour, always. That is important. The top speed is not exceptional, but the boat is very well balanced. So, and we have some new system to control the stability of the boat. So this helps us a lot in the speed at different sea conditions. So this is why we can always have a very high average speed.
Fabio Buzzi, who is driver of Ganzia del Ganzia, and there you can see Systems, Bob Kaiser. Errol Lanier is his throttle man in that boat, and boy, that is a competitive team. And look at him go. He is now moving up into second place, Jim.
Yes, he is. He's passing the chairman of the board. Low! He comes out and knocks that stern right against the wave. The bow goes slapping down. Here's the silver bullet with Craig Berry. As we look at the open class field now, over 3/4 of the way through this race.
And still, battles are wide open. The championships could go any way. There's the boat from Japan, Bengal Bay Club, still very much in this race. They would like nothing better than to take back a world championship. Special Edition, John D'Elia and his son, J.D. D'Elia. Look at the water churned up behind that boat as they power themselves through the Atlantic. A good job at driving, and this is a boat that was new to the circuit this year, and it is encapsulated. Uh-oh, we have got a problem.
Al Copeland Jr., Bob Adoni out of the cockpit now on the deck of the boat. That means they're through for the day. The Coast Guard comes over to assist.
So that is a big, big surprise. That boat was right up in there with Gentry. Here's Dad, if you will, Al Copeland Sr. with Mark C.A. in the boat, and they are just hanging right in there in that V-bottom. This rough water is good for this boat. They enjoy it. They can cut right through the waves, as you can see. And they're chasing the Gentry Eagle 99 boat, Don Johnson, who last year was driving in the open, now the Supers. Is there a difference?
Yeah, it's different. You know, I mean, it's, for me, I enjoy it more. It's, you know, the competition is really tough out there, and in both classes. But the super boats are, they're just more fun.
And it's going to be a lot more fun if he can take a win in this class. And right now he's in very good position to do just that. We'll get back to find out how he finishes this race. Here's the guy he's racing, who is the team owner, Tom Gentry. Tom has actually led this race right from the beginning. Will he hold on, or will his teammate catch the win? We'll find out, because the finish is in sight. Before we get back to the racing in Key West, Florida, have you ever wondered how a boat hull is constructed so that it can take the pounding that the boats at Key West are taking? Well, first you take a mold and you paint it. Then you add layer after layer of fiberglass, bonding it with a super strong marine resin like AME 4000. It's a time-consuming bit of work, but it pays off. After the mold is made, the finished boat hull is just popped out, ready for construction. And before long, it's like this one, out on the course running.
Tom Gentry qualified for this race because he is the defending world champion. What about next year? What are the plans?
Well, we did the transatlantic, and we got halfway across. We hope to make the other half this summer. So what the other, that's going to be our major thrust this year. We may support some of the other guys, which are going to run our motors and stuff like that. Yeah, that's looking pretty good. Guys are figuring out that our stuff works.
And Tom Gentry leads this one in Superboat class today, but his teammate, the number 2 boat, Gentry Eagle, number 99, with Don Johnson, if he maintains second place, he'll win the World Cup here today.
He is right now approaching checkpoint number 4. And incidentally, Jim will point out, Don Johnson is really honestly driving that boat and has done so all week long and done a fine job. Third place, the number 10 Popeyes Diet Coke, Al Copeland Sr. He's got a good ride. That's the V hull we talked about, and he's holding it right in there, having a very steady ride all day long. And, of course, the teammate to that boat, the Catamaran, is out of it.
Let's check the open class. Ganzia de Ganzia currently leads. They're coming down to the wire now, and the finish line at the pier house, they're all waiting with those checker flags.
And you know, Fabio Buzzi has talked about stability, and look at that boat right now. He roughs up just a little bit. He's got good steps on it, though, keeps good altitude, and it is very stable. Meanwhile, the systems boat of Bob Kaiser has really been put to the test, and he is put to the test again right there.
He stuffed it. Boy, that was dangerous. He's going all out. He don't care. He's really being wild here today.
Right now, the Silver Bullet is riding in third place. Jack Clark is the throttleman on that boat. He has built that boat, and he also built the US 1 boat. So he's competing against his own. Here's Mr. Kabuyashi in the boat from Japan, Bengal Bay Club, holding in at fourth place right now.
And the Delia team, special edition, fifth place, Dick.
That's one of the smaller of the boats in the class, and it is having a little trouble with the rough water that we've been talking about all day long. John Delia and his son J.D. in special edition. Let's swing now over to the modified. This is America. Oh, American Dream bowed down and right into a wave. I got to tell you, these boats are taking a pounding out here today.
Here's Bill Barnhart and John Durgan, second place, special edition of the modified class. We don't want to confuse you, but there are two special editions. One in open class, and this one we're watching in modified.
Now, still nursing it along is Dirty Laundry, Joe Mock, and Hurley Stepp. Now, all they have to do is finish the race or finish further along than any other boats in the class, and they will take the championship.
In the Pro Stock, Miss Don Q, the Sorellis boys, currently at first place as they come down and eye that checker flag in the Pro Stock division.
They've got a little competition from this boat, the P-15 Concrete Cat. Ray Tresh holding it in there. Boy, that's a great shot into that cockpit there, and you can see the speed that that boat is going.
First defense is third place. Ed Martinez and Mike Novick really going. Mike took his 75-year-old mother for a ride in this boat 2 days ago, and she loved it.
I'll bet. Thrill of her life, to put it mildly. There you can see the engine that is a problem now for the Ocean Outboard Skater, the boat that seemed to have first place wrapped up coming into this race, but as you say, don't predict anything when you're talking offshore powerboat racing. This boat is definitely slow on the course.
We're about to complete this three-race event for the World Cup and down to the pier house. Here comes your winner for today's event in Superboat class.
Tom Gentry in the Turbo Gentry Eagle has taken first place today. However, the boat right behind him is the other Gentry entry, and it is driven by Don Johnson. He will be proclaimed world champion in the Superboats.
Because he had three good showings, a first and 2 seconds. Gentry Eagle wins today, but your overall World Cup is Gentry Turbo Eagle, followed by Popeyes Diet Coke and the PTM Express. Those are our Superboat results.
And certainly congratulations to all of the drivers in the Superboat. Some super racing out there on rough water course. Here's our first foreign entry coming in. This is in the open class. The winner will be Fabio Buzzi, and I'll tell you, the boat has that weird wing on it, but it sure worked for him in that rough water today.
And that horizontal stabilizer keeps the boat light. Unlike cars, they use it to keep it down on the surface. They want to fly this boat, and they've flown to a World Cup victory here in Key West today in open class.
So Fabio Buzzi, who didn't particularly like the race course setup, takes it anyway. The World Cup systems, Bobby Kaiser second special edition, the US 1, John Delia in third, and Silver Bullet, Craig Berry and Jack Clark in fourth.
From the Ocean Key House, we're looking down toward the wet pits. Let's go down to Mark Spencer and the Superboat winner.
Tom Gentry, 1-2 finish for the Gentry team.
Our boats did it. Our engines did it. All right.
At the start of the race, when Al Copeland was just right behind you, were you playing with him, or was that heads-up racing?
Well, we had a little speed, quite a bit extra. Yeah, we were okay.
This is the performance of the V-bottoms. Everybody thought that the Superboat class was going to turn into a totally cat-dominated race. The V-bottoms haven't done bad.
Well, statistically, they're in good shape because they've got less things to go wrong. We did break a drive shaft on Wednesday, but other than that, our boats won their respective sizes and classes, so we're really happy about that.
And a happy crowd down at the Galleon Resort pits, along with Tom Gentry, the winner in the Superboat class. We'll be back with more winners from the 1988 Bud Light Key West Offshore World Cup in just a moment. Let's go down to the pits now and join a real world champion.
Hey, Don Johnson, you said, when I asked you if your fans would take you seriously, you said, let my record speak for itself. Now what do you say?
I think we're serious.
Only 9 races in your whole career. Do you ever think you'd be a world champion?
God, I didn't. You don't even think about that. You just go out and you run one race at a time, and I got to tell you, we lost the port engine about a quarter of a mile right out here. We limped in on 2 engines.
Now, what about the feeling when you passed Popeyes? What was that feeling?
Well, you feel bad for them. They ran a good race. They always come out here and run hard. They're great competitors. I love competing with them, and it's unfortunate that they broke down. We were neck and neck and running, but today was our day.
Flag is another feeling, right?
You bet.
Well, a happy guy, and rightfully so, Don Johnson, the World Cup champion in the Superboats.
The modifieds are now just finishing. It's Jeff Sofer at the wheel, Peter Hidalgo in American Dream. They'll win today's version of modified racing, but the overall winner will be, I believe, Dirty Laundry. Let's go down to the pits as Mark Spencer is with the Open champion. Mark?
Fabio Buzzi, you came here with a point to prove, and you proved it.
Yes, it was a fantastic race today with the right and the perfect sea for our boat, which is a monohull, and everybody knows, the monohull is quicker than the cat. This is the reason why we have won.
You know, you came in as a favorite, but nobody thought you'd dominate the way you did.
Well, you see, we have learned one thing in Europe, that water is never calm. I don't understand really why everybody in the States is going with the cat. We have seen today that we have not seen one cat going well. There's always some sea. And we think that monohull, with some changements, like we have done in our boat, which is lighter, the construction steps, wings, and serve drives can be better than some cats.
Our congratulations to the Italian team, Gancia de Gancia, for their open class victory here in Key West today. Here is the winner for today's Pro Stock here at Key West, Miss Don Q. Meanwhile, we have just learned that Joe Mock and Hurley combined to take Dirty Laundry across the finish line third, and by accumulating points for 3 days are the World Cup champions.
Hurley, I know that's not the way you wanted to win it, but you'll take a World Cup any way you can get it.
That's for sure. I'll take it any way I can get it. We did real good the first 2 days. The boat ran fantastic. We went out there our day just to survive, beat the people we had to. Unfortunately, we broke, but it's still good. We just had to sit there and run to beat a couple boats, so we weren't concerned with leading the pack at all. We just wanted to run and survive.
Perfect season for you, a national championship, a world championship. What do you do for an encore next year?
We go to open class and beat everybody.
Well, some real high ideals for next year. We'll see how they do. Hurley Stepp and Joe Mock, World Cup champions in the modifieds. Here are the official modified results. Dirty Laundry finishing first, American Dream second, Special Edition third, and Cat, which had some problems early on in the race, finishing fourth. World Cup champion in Pro Stock, Bud Tresh.
Bud, when you came into the race today, did you really think you had a shot at catching Tony Caligari in the ocean outboards?
Well, we had to finish 2 spots ahead of him, and that's tough. He never gives up. Fortunately, today he had a problem. It's all part of offshore racing. I guess the bottom line is you got to be there at the end.
And that's exactly where Ray Tresh was in the Concrete Cat, World Cup champion. Congratulations to him in Pro Stock. Let's take a look at all of our results in the World Cup for the Pro Stocks. Concrete Cat, Ocean Outboard, which, as you remember, had trouble with the port engine partway through the race. Miss Don Q held in there for third place, and the P555 first defense finishes in fourth. Now, also along with today's awards, we have some of the Mercury High Point Fund to award. Special edition getting the U.S. Open class, High Roller in the Pro Stock, and Bermuda's Racing Team and Sportsman. They went over and capsized on the course, so I'm sure they can use it. Let's check in on high with Rich Lurs, who's been watching a fantastic race.
Fantastic's a good word. It was quite a race. The Superboat class was the best I've ever seen. There was close racing and a lot of boats involved in it. Finally, Tom Gentry came through. The open class was indescribable. I'm not sure where the sanity went, but the excitement was terrific. It was a terrific World Cup all the way around, and I think everybody deserves a pat on the back. We really enjoyed it from our vantage point. We hope you did.
And so another season comes to a close here in Key West. This was quite a race, Mark Spencer, because we did not have a repeat winner in the World Championships in the Superboat and the Offshore division, and there looks like there's going to be more challenges in those two classes next year.
Quite a race and quite a season. You know, Jim, in the Superboat class towards the end of the season, it really started to take hold, and you've got to like the opportunities for next year. Of course, Al Copeland will be back. He'll be running 2 boats. Don Johnson, what can he do? He's got a race. And there's going to be some other guys stepping up, perhaps, and I don't think you can count out Charlie Marks and Eric's Reality. He didn't make a showing here at the World Cup, but he made a really strong stand towards the end of the season. I think he's going to be a force to be reckoned with.
I wholeheartedly agree. So it's all over here. It was a safe race and some of the closest competition we've ever seen. On behalf of Rich Lures, Dick Crippen, Mark Spencer, I'm Jim Hendrick from Key West. So long.
The 1988 Bud Light Offshore World Cup has been sponsored by Bud Light. Everything else is just a light. Mercury Performance Products. The race never stops. Promotional consideration has been provided by the Pier House, newly renovated, offering 120 deluxe rooms, and the famous Pier House restaurant, 1-800-327-8340, or in Florida, 1-800-432-3414.